So this morning, it's time for my 29th best, favourite, whatever you want to call it, record of the year, 2023. And it's this puppy. Hawkwind, The Future Never Waits. Now this came out in spring. Don't think I heard it until about summertime. I seem to remember listening to it for the first time on a long hot summer's night, which here in Manchester we don't get many of, so it's great when they happen. And I thought this is perfect music for this type of, especially with that cover there, you've got a sort of a weird sky going on, and you had this sort of light blue velvety sky going on in Manchester that night. Classic sunset, red hot, still at 9-10 o'clock at night. Anyway, what's this record like? Well, it's actually very good. It's not as guitar driven as I was expecting. I thought with Dave Brock being the only long-time member left, that there'd be a bit more guitar on it, but it's actually very keyboard heavy. So if you like progressive rock, keyboard rock, even 80s synth pop, I think you'll appreciate this, because there's a hell of a lot of keyboards on this. So as I said, Dave Brock, the only surviving member in the band. Who else have we got on there? We've got Richard Chadwick, Magnus Martin, Doug McKinnon and Tim Lewis. Now this thing was released as a CD, and also apparently you can get a vinyl as well. Probably sound better on vinyl because again this is very, very loud. It's been mastered full volume over everything else, so you probably get more out of it on the warm tones associated with vinyl. So the songs on here are long and meandering, as you would expect. On occasion, very, very occasionally, you kind of hear a throwback to classic 70s Hawkwind. This record is nothing like classic 70s Hawkwind in terms of quality, to my ear. Some of it does remind me of that classic mid-70s era Hall of the Mountain grill, that type of thing. So for instance, we've got kicks off with 10 minutes of the title track, The Future Never Waits. Then it goes into a bit of a guitar chugging piece called The End. Then you've got a thing called Aldous Huxley, which is a very strange song, but you kind of expect that. It's Hawkwind, isn't it? They Are So Easily Distracted. Now that's kind of a jazzy thing going on there for 10 minutes, which is interesting. Then you've got Ram and a Prophecy, USB 1, Outside of Time, I'm Learning to Live Today, which I think is my favourite song on the album. That does remind me of classic 70s Hawkwind quite a lot. Then you've got a thing called The Beginning, and another of my favourites, just a 3-minute little thing at the end called Trapped in This Modern Age, which is very good. And again reminds me of classic Hawkwind. To me, as you can probably tell by what I'm saying, my favourite Hawkwind must be the 70s stuff, always. One or two nice moments in the 80s, but to me, Hawkwind were a 70s band and they did the best stuff then. Listening to this though, which I have been doing, like I say, since the summer, occasionally you do think, you hear, is that Lemmy on backing vocals? But of course it isn't. How could it be? It's actually Dave Brock and the guys. They've managed to conjure up that feeling somehow on this record, in places. Not everywhere, but in places. And they've done a very good job at it too. I could have done with a bit more guitar on this, to be honest with you, which is probably why it's at number 29 for me this year. But a good effort nonetheless, and this will always remind me of long hot summer evenings. Not that we get many, but when you do, they're memorable. So that's my number 29 for the year. Hawkwind, the future never waits.